Hi, hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of IC Chat. I am your host, Demetri Broches. Glad to have you listening in today. For those of you who don't know who I am, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am the current Vice President of the Illinois Conservatives Group, a group that dedicates itself in spreading the conservative message to folks in Illinois and promote activism and engagement in the political system. Zach Oltmans, President and co-founder of the group, started it after the 2008 presidential election in response to Obama's major advantage over the Republicans in turning out, in particular, the youth vote. This group over the years has grown itself on Facebook, currently over 3,000 members and counting. We have been working tirelessly, putting our support behind good conservative candidates up and down the state, from the national to the state and local levels. We have big plans ahead, and I will make sure to announce to all of you what those plans are when it happens. In addition to being Vice President of the Illinois Conservatives Group, I'm also a board member of the DeKalb County, Illinois Tea Party, where I've organized events and promoted the message of fiscal responsibility, limited government, and free enterprise to the good folks of DeKalb County. I've also worked on many different campaigns, from gubernatorial to congressional and state Senate races, in Illinois and out east in Virginia and Pennsylvania. I love the campaign trail, and you'll hear me talk quite a bit about races, both present and upcoming future ones with potential candidates. Now, what's the show all about? Well, we're here to talk about current events at both the state and national levels. And, it's somewhat of an odd blessing being the state of Illinois, because there's really never a dull news day here in the land of Lincoln. Whether it's a governor or congressman resigning from office for corruption charges, Democrat majorities here and their addiction to spend, leaving us taxpayers with a bill to pay, even the internal struggles with the Republican Party here. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get right to it. Karl Rove. Now, Karl Rove just recently started a new SuperPAC called the Conservative Victory Project. Now, the purpose, let's go over first who Karl Rove is exactly. Now, he has been called the architect and is responsible as being one of the advisors to George W. Bush for both his election in 2000 and also in his re-election for 2004. Karl Rove, I would say, aligns himself, and most people might agree with me, more towards the moderate or center-right philosophy on, at least in the Republican Party. And because of that, he has, I would say, had some angst. He's definitely had some divisive opinions when it comes towards some of the more conservative and right-leaning Republicans in the GOP. So much so that he started this organization, and the purposes of this organization is to ensure that good Republicans are elected in primaries so that they can face off against Democrats, and that we don't, as Karl Rove and his new organization puts it, don't want any Todd Akin repeats. Now, there's definitely been a lot of backlash in that, because we have seen a lot of conservatives out there who have not had a lot of trust for Karl Rove. Karl Rove was one of these individuals who had high praises for Mitt Romney and was an early supporter for Mitt Romney. And again, these are a lot of moderate and establishment Republicans who felt that with Mitt Romney at the top of the ticket, and eventually the one that would be the nominee, he would be the best chance of defeating somebody like Barack Obama, and that Mitt Romney lost quite handily in that. But rather than his support for various candidates definitely reflects that, and he has the beliefs that the Republican Party should follow a more moderate path. And it's been spearheaded by none other than Karl Rove and one of his big money juggernauts, American Crossroads. Now, American Crossroads was an organization that did quite a bit of advertising and commercials for Mitt Romney. And Karl Rove was one of the biggest supporters for Mitt Romney, even during the primaries. He was a staunch supporter for Mitt Romney, who, again, Mitt Romney, I would say in the primaries, was definitely one of the more moderate candidates compared to some of the other folks who joined in the GOP primary for the 2012 presidential race. Now, the focus here for Karl Rove is that what he wishes for the Republican Party is to retain these moderate Republicans, and that the course that the GOP should take here on out is to retain that moderate and at least open-ended and not so much towards, as he would call it, far-right extremist conservative beliefs. No more Todd Akins, no more Richard Murdochs. And by the way, I'm not going to sit here and defend that legitimate rape comment. That was a very stupid thing of him to say. Now, that being said, and definitely not any more conservatives running and winning primaries against Democrats, because he feels that preaching a very conservative principle is a lost cause, and that Americans these days follow a more moderate belief and opinion. And I just find all that very fascinating, and I definitely see where this is going, though, too. I know that the narrative will be, again, look at the name that Karl Rove chose for the SuperPAC, the Conservative Victory Fund. Conservative. Despite the fact that he is supporting candidates who are moderate and not very conservative at all. And I know what the narrative will be. The narrative will be that moderates will call themselves the new conservatives and will label Tea Partiers and real conservatives as extremists, nutjobs, etc. They're going to take the playbook from the mainstream media, the leftist mainstream media, and they will apply it to these Tea Party candidates and conservative candidates. Make no mistake, Iowa, there's going to be a big Senate race because of Senator Harkin announcing his retirement and he's stepping down. And that will be a very ugly race, especially in the primary. Iowa is going to set the stage for what will happen both in 2014 and for the 2016 primary. Ultimately, and this is the way I see it, either one of the factions of the GOP will win out. Either the conservatives, the real conservatives, or the moderates who will claim the new conservative mantle. This is how I see it. Either one of those factions will win the hearts and mind and will become the majority of the GOP, or the GOP will continue to be a divided and fractious political party. And if it's the latter, if it is going to be that the GOP will continue to be divided, unfortunately, I see the GOP becoming nothing more than just a regional party where they will hold on to their strongholds both in the southern portions of the United States and also in the Rockies. As far as getting those battleground states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, even Florida, areas like that in presidential races, we won't have a shot in hell in picking up those races. And the next 2 years are going to be very, very grueling. And there's going to be soul searching definitely going on within the Republican Party. Now, what happened in 2008, and I'm going back in time over here, that was the low point, I think, with the Republican Party. But I think at the same time, too, the Republican Party needed that low point, because without it, the Tea Party wouldn't have appeared on the scene. I mean, it would have, but I think it would have taken a little bit longer time for that to happen. But because of the fact that the Tea Party became more prominent after Barack Obama's win, and also with his health care legislation, it just shot up for them, especially the conservative message too. And I think it propelled Republicans to come back in the midterm for 2010 and win big, especially here in Illinois. We were able to pick up seats for example, Joe Walsh in the 8th District. We were also to pick up in the 14th District, Randy Hultgren defeating Bill Foster. Down in the 11th District, Debbie Halverson was defeated by Adam Kinzinger. Out west, Bobby Schilling was able to defeat Mr. Hare. And we also saw, too, that there was a tough race in Mark Kirk's old seat where Bob Dole was able to come out with the win. Now, it was fascinating. Fast forward from 2010 to 2012, what has gone on in those 2 years? It really is, because many of those districts, in fact all of them, the reason why I feel, a big reason why the Republicans were able to win those districts was because of the Tea Party conservative activists. And they were doing everything that they could, and then some, to get these Republicans to defeat the Democrats that were currently representing those districts and get these Republicans in. And it was expected, because of the big turnout that these Tea Party conservatives came out with, that these congressmen would follow their beliefs. However, it seems that at least some of them, not all, they definitely showed their true colors. And Joe Walsh, I feel, has been has really shown that he has fulfilled the Tea Party principles and the conservative principles. And being sent to Washington, D.C., he had performed remarkably. But again, fast forward to 2012, and boy, what a bad year it was for Republicans, both moderates and conservatives. In that out of those 5 freshman Republicans who had won in 2010, only 2 returned, and that was Adam Kinzinger and Randy Hultgren. Joe Walsh, Mr. Tea Party in Illinois, gone. Bobby Schilling, out west, gone. Bob Dole in the north suburbs, gone. Although the Republicans did hold on to retiring Tim Johnson's seat with Rodney Davis getting the win, the fact is that we have Tammy Duckworth taking over Joe Walsh's district, Bill Foster, oh boy, back in Congress taking over Judy Biggart's district, and this is, especially here in Illinois, there's been quite a bit of soul searching as far as where the GOP wants to go, and the moderates definitely be more compassionate, quote unquote, when it comes to immigration and try to go after the Hispanic vote, which I am all in favor of going after one of the largest growing population groups in the country, but we must do so in a way that we must not sacrifice our principles. And I am in favor of having a discussion to talking all about immigration, and that'll be for another time to do that. But the fact remains that when you have people, especially the establishment, demanding that we have unity within the Republican Party, and then you have the likes of Karl Rove starting this organization who is going after Tea Partiers and conservatives, candidates running for office who really believe in these conservative principles, and just relentlessly going after them. And it really does show how far that unity really goes. And I appreciate Joe Walsh starting his own SuperPAC, countering Karl Rove and his SuperPAC too. And I know there are a whole many other conservative candidates around the country who are doing the same thing, starting their own super PACs and promoting conservative principles and ensuring that there are other candidates who run for office, whether it's going as a congressman or as a senator at the national level, or at the state level, going to Springfield too. And God knows we need all the help that we can get, enough conservative principles down there, because frankly we have so little. And so we need to keep a focus on that, and we need to call out those who we feel that say that there should be more unity in the GOP. We will make sure here at Illinois Conservatives, we will make sure to keep a close eye on that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is this whole thing about gun control, and that's always a big topic. That there's quite a lot that's been going on, both at the state level and also at the national level too, with Dianne Feinstein, who is trying to confiscate quote-unquote assault weapons, which again, such a vague description on exactly what that is. But liberals and the leftists, they just love vagueness, because that just gives them freedom to, and I use that ironically with liberals too, because they are so dead set on restricting freedoms, but that only freedoms on themselves, to take liberties from American citizens. But I wanted to go over some statistics and just kind of discuss, and let's look no further than what's going on in Chicago. Well, let me throw this out over here too. In Chicago, 351 of the city's 362 gun murders in 2011, and all this talk about assault weapons, AR-15s, and so on and so forth too, that we should ban those, that would not change. That would not change the lives lost, murdered in Chicago. 351 out of the 362 gun murders were committed by handguns. That's 97% of the deaths in Chicago alone. But again, 2011 wasn't just a bad year. The year before, in 2010, 98% of gun murders were with handguns. And in 2009, 94%. All this from a city that has among the most strictest gun control laws in the entire country, where, again, quote-unquote, assault weapons are banned. And how about when more guns are purchased by law-abiding citizens, like in Virginia? What about when that happens? When more law-abiding citizens purchase firearms. Take example in Virginia. From 2006 to 2011, gun sales went up 73%. And, listen to this, and the gun-related violent crimes fell 24%. I mean, I could list on and on and on and on and on all these statistics, but the fact remains. What happened in Sandy Hook? What happened in Columbine, Red Lake, Virginia Tech, Tucson, Aurora? Even the school that I went to at Northern Illinois University, in St. Valentine's Day, the massacre that occurred there. All that. And such tragedies occurred at those events too. But what is really a tragedy also is how we have those in public office that take such horrendous events like what happened in Connecticut and other massacres and try to score political points and try to put a political angle on that. It was Rahm Emanuel who said, never let a crisis go to waste. And that is just shameful. That is just shameful. And Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, using that in his city, the murder capital of the entire country. Chicago is more dangerous than Kabul, Kandahar, Afghanistan. Don't let a crisis go to waste. Look in your own backyard. Look in your own city what's going on. Unbelievable. And his solution is for more gun control. And not only that, to extend it, not just into Chicago, but for the rest of the suburbs surrounding Chicago and even for the state. As if that is going to solve the problems that are going on in that city. Even if we took Feinstein's legislation and we passed it, banning assault weapons, we would still have handguns out there, killing people. Do they want to ban handguns too? I think there are quite a bit of liberals out there, frankly, who want to ban all guns. Ban all guns from civilian use. Disarm every. In fact, it was Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky up in the northern suburbs who said banning assault rifles was just the beginning. It was a moment of opportunity, and actually seeks to ban even handguns as well. But I truly do believe that there are some liberals out there, the only people to have firearms are the police and the military. And I'm sorry, we have a Second Amendment for a reason. And it isn't there just to protect our right to hunt. It is to protect our right from a tyrannical government. Now, I'm not out there demanding that people start a revolution against the government. That is not what I'm saying. But we ought to protect ourselves. We should have that right to protect ourselves. And law-abiding citizens should not have to face the wrath of the government when it's criminals. When it is reckless criminals who are causing fear and have taken over cities like Chicago. They are the ones that must be punished, not law-abiding citizens. Despite what sixth graders like Dianne Feinstein and Jan Schakowsky would have us believe. And thank God for Ted Cruz, too, grilling Feinstein during the Committee on Gun Control. That's who we need to send to office. People like Ted Cruz, who are willing to protect our rights, protect our liberties, against those liberal Democrats who want nothing more than to take more and more of it away from us each and every day. We're just about wrapped up with today's show. I want to let folks know that our next episode will air on April 1st at 6:30 p.m., where I will have the first guest on the show, Jason Plummer. Many of you remember as the GOP nominee for Lieutenant Governor in 2010 and ran for Congress in 2012. I'll ask him his thoughts about the 2012 election and what we conservatives need to do moving forward. Thank you all for listening into the show. I look forward for all of you to listen in again on our next show. Till then, good night and keep up the fight.